Hello again. You really need to take a look at this article. I'll give you some of the highlights. It's on the Activist Post, dated the 24th of May 2016. Title: Saudi press just accused U.S. government of blowing up World Trade Centers as pretext to perpetual war. Have you sort of heard me say that, like, I don't know, a couple of hundred times? Huh? This was written by J. Syrmopoulos, Syrmopoulos, from Saudi Arabia. In response to the U.S. Senate unanimous vote to allow 9/11 victim families to sue Saudi Arabia in federal court, a report published in the London-based Al-Hayat Daily by Saudi legal expert Khatib al-Shammari claims that the U.S. masterminded the terror attacks as a means of creating a nebulous enemy in order to garner public support for a global war on terror. I've often says I don't make the news, but I think in this instance I made the news. The report by al-Shammari, translated by the Middle East Media Research Institute, MEMRI, claims that long-standing American policy is, quote, built upon the principle of advanced planning and future probabilities, end of quote, which the U.S. has now turned toward the Saudi regime after being successfully employed against first the Taliban and al-Qaeda, then Saddam Hussein and his nuclear Batistas-controlled Iraq. Al-Shammari claims the recent U.S. threats to, quote, expose documents implicating the Saudi government are simply the continuation of U.S. policy, which he refers to as victory by means of archive. He highlights that during the initial invasion of Iraq under George H.W. Bush, Saddam Hussein was left alive and empowered to be used as a bargaining chip. But upon deciding that he was no longer an ace up their sleeves, Washington moved to topple his government and install U.S.-backed ruling party. The terrorist attack of 9/11 are now the ace up the sleeve of the U.S. government, according to al-Shammari. September 11 is one of the winning cards in American archives because all of the wise people in the world who are experts on American policy and who analyze the images and the videos of 9/11 agree unanimously that what happened in the Twin Towers was a purely American action, planned and carried out within the U.S. Proof of this is the sequence of continuous explosions that dramatically ripped through both buildings. Expert structural engineers demolished them with explosives, while the planes crashing them only gave the green light for the detonation. Well, there were no planes. They were not the reason for the collapse, but U.S. still spreads blame in all directions. This policy can be dubbed victory by means of archive. The impetus behind the attack, writes al-Shammari, was to create an obscure enemy, terrorism, which became what America presidents blamed for all their mistakes, and that would provide justification for any dirty operation in any nation. You got to read the rest of this article, folks. The only mistake that I think they made in this article is they talked about planes. There were no planes. But there's no doubt that the rest of it is true and accurate. It was done by our government. Saudi Arabia, as I've said countless times, is nothing but a patsy. Read the article and then decide for yourself. Once again, who are you going to go to? There's no one. Absolutely no one.